Hello friends, this is Scott, and I'm out here in the evening on June 1st, and it's funny, it's time to plant the tomatoes and the other plants that I grew from seed inside the house, but we have this kind of a transition period where we go from 50 degrees, and then it's 89 to 91 degrees. So I'm out here in the evening to try to do some transplanting because it's too stressful. Even when you're hardening off your plants outside for a few days, it's still just way too stressful for these plants to try to get established if you're planting in the middle of the day because it's just way too hot. Well, today though is tomato planting day, and I'm going to show you my little tricks of the trade on how I plant tomatoes. And it's nothing, you see lots of tomato videos. It's not that complicated of a process, but in short, when you look at your plants, okay, you want to bury them up to about here, okay? So what you do is you remove your lower leaves, okay? Just pinch them off, okay? What'll happen is when you bury your plant, if I bury it up to here, okay, what'll happen is all this little hairs here, this will root, and then it'll help your plant get established. And the better plant transplants I find are smaller transplants. If you go to the nursery and you buy these big old plants, they're gonna take a long time for them to finally, get acclimated to the soil and to get growing again. It's much better to have smaller plants that'll just take off, get the root structure going, and off they go. So anyway, again, hopefully the wind's not creating too much havoc with this audio today. It is blowing. So that's one of the advantages. I do a lot of voiceovers because it is noisy at times, especially when I solid garden, but down here it's not so bad. But yeah, I'm going to show you my process for transplanting tomatoes, but I also have some others. I've got some peppers, and I did grow from seed, just so you know that I did have some success from seed. I had my started them too early as I got, so I do have some cabbage that is doing well. Then I'll add to the other cabbage that was store-bought cabbage that I've already put in the ground. So anyway, today's the day that I'm just going to come out. It's nice after dinner and it's cooler, wind's blowing. I'm just going to do the best I can to get as many things planted, and just, this is what gardening's about. There's all this stress of getting stuff done, lots of weeds everywhere, but you know what, tonight I'm just going to enjoy myself. And I may even have a fire at the end of tonight, so we'll see how that goes. So anyway, let's go take a look at how I'm transplanting the tomatoes. And again, I'll do voiceover so the wind's not causing hate and discontent. I am putting my tomatoes on a fully fenced in area of the yard this year because the chickens did get into them last year and ate some of the ripe tomatoes, and particularly ate my peppers. So I don't want them in here this year. Now, my secret ingredient for growing the best tomatoes is Epsom salt, and it's just a white powder. It's a magnesium sulfate. And you just put a little bit of that, a little handful in the bottom of the hole, and that's supposed to help with blossom end rot. And I think blossom end rot mostly is to do with water and uneven watering. So I think mulching is more of a importance, and make sure that you keep the tomatoes evenly moist. But it doesn't hurt to have a little Epsom salt in there. It seems to always do the trick. I don't seem to have much blossom end rot ever, but yeah, you never know. It's always good to have a little preventative medicine. Now, I did put a scoop and a half of my in-ground compost, screened compost from my solic yard. So there's plenty of compost here that I'm going to mix into the soil as I plant the tomatoes. And then, so again, I'm pulling the leaves off the tomatoes and just mounding them up a little bit, and then creating a little bit of a tray so water will stay on the plants when I'm watering them. But just a real simple process. I'm just going to go from each plant to plant, and then I'll throw a cage on, and I'm just going to rotate around because I already put the cages kind of where they go, and I'm just going to leave that one till the end, and then I'll just start working my way around and reinstalling the cages once I get the plants planted. So not a hard process. Tomatoes are very forgiving. But do a little speed planting, and I don't want to bore you with the same old thing, but just again, dig a hole, Epsom salt, peel the leaves off the tomatoes, plant the tomatoes, return the soil, and then put the cage on them. So it's very simple. I'm only doing 10 tomatoes. I wish I would have probably done more, but that's all the cages I have this year. I don't want to go buy any more cages. I've got other expenses right now, so we'll go with the 10. And I did have a ton of tomatoes last year, and so I think 10 will be plenty as long as they all live. And hopefully this is a full sun area. There's a little bit of tree overhang, so we'll see if we get a little bit of shade. Now, I did have some peppers that some I grew and some I bought, and you can probably tell which is which. My peppers didn't do the greatest under the grow lights. I think I overwater too much, but yeah, there's a look at where I'm going to put those peppers, and look at all the tomatoes that are planted. Everything's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty pleased. The wind is blowing still, and again, it's time to plant the peppers. I'm just using one of this little tool. It's got kind of a spiky hoe end on one side, and then a fixed blade, and then a kind of a rake on the other side. So, yep, just dig a hole and just put those tomatoes in. And again, I had plenty of my screen compost from in-ground compost bin here. So these plants, I should have plenty of fertility. I may add some supplemental fertility later. We'll see. But yeah, just I want these to be, I put them on this side because I want them to get some sun, and I think they should be able to get plenty of sun in this location. So we'll see. I think I might even have a couple eggplants here that I planted, if I remember correctly. And those I did grow from seed, but they didn't look that great. So we'll see. I'm not a huge eggplant eater, but yeah, we'll see if they survive. If they don't, I'll just go grab a couple from the store. But again, there's that little, got a fork on one side and a little hoe on the other, and it just makes for digging holes really easy. And just tuck those plants in. And yeah, nothing to it. Just a nice little pepper area. I don't need that many peppers. It's just, again, I'm a homestead of one. Willow's with me, and as you'll see here, Willow is in my business all the time and becomes kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, good cats. All four of the cats are doing their job, keeping the mice away, and I haven't seen a mouse for quite some time. So I think we're doing good with them, but they're always starving for attention, that's for sure. But getting down to my last pepper, again, just digging, shallow little hole, and then we'll get that plant put in, and then all is good with this part of the planting. I do have other plants that I would need to put in the ground, but I'll save those for another video. That's more of the winter and summer squashes and some cucumbers. Now, tomatoes do not like overhead water. You can overhead water them. It's not the end of the world. But for these transplants, I'm just going to water them directly at ground level and just get them nice and soaked in and ready to go. And again, with blossom end rot, which is kind of the biggest problem with tomatoes, I want to make sure I have even moisture. So I'm just going to use my grass clippings that I have. Got a little bit left, and I'll just put those around there. So that'll hopefully keep the soil moist, so these plants can get established and keep them evenly moist, because that's again a very important thing for tomatoes, that they don't get too much water and then not enough water. If you have too much water, you'll start splitting your tomatoes when they're ripening. So well, there you go. And again, I didn't have a ton of grass clippings, so I'm not going to do the whole bed. But as I mow more, I'll use them, because I don't have any brown material to make compost. So I got my grass clippings that I'll just use in the garden, and they'll be used as mulch and in pathways, and as much as I can mow, I will use it. And hopefully I'll get some wood chips here toward the end of the year and be able to finish this garden off like I did last year. Well, here's some cabbage that I grew. And again, there's a few that were good. The root structure's all right. I did put them in those solo cups, and I should have punched holes in the bottoms, but the cabbage was fine with having a little bit too much water. That was not a big deal. So yeah, I'll just throw a couple of these in here, and a few. I should say I probably have 10 plants. I got a plant over here, maybe 10, 12. So we'll get them all in. And again, the winds are blowing. I thought a storm was coming, but it just that never materialized. Now this is where Willow becomes a pain, because this cat will not get out of my way, and I move her, and This cat doesn't seem to get the hint. So again, I guess it's a good problem to have, But sometimes it's hard to get any work done because these cats are just all over me. But I want to get these all planted and get them all ready to go. Again, we'll get in a little speed planting just to finish up these last few containers. And again, these are all the stuff that I grew in the house, and we'll see how well it lives. And still have some grass clippings that I stored here from my last mowings, and I'm just going to use those to mulch everything in and hopefully keep the moisture in place. Now, the weather's supposed to cool down for the next few days, so I'm hoping this is the perfect time to transplant, because again, you got to harden these plants off, and I didn't be able to do that very much. I did for a couple days is all. So anyway, guys, like always, water everything in, and again, I'm an overwater, so yeah, always do that. So anyway, it was too windy today to have a fire, so that'll end this video, and yeah, so we did a pretty good job getting our plants in. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, like, share, and comment. Thank you.